digital people, the technological people, because we realize, especially dealing with children, is basically a domain of women without
Recording in
recognition.
progress.
And we feel that what we say, human greatness, has a face of women. I would like each of you to remember, because for me, it's a tribute to all of us women, and especially to mothers, to teachers, to educators, to community leaders, and everyone. I would like to say that in the case of Peru, I don't need to speak very much about all the terrible situation that we are having right now. Politically, economically, delinquency, security, everything. But I should start with something that will hit our hearts, because I think the first question that one has to ask, as I've been asking and sharing with my students for a long, long time, is your service comes from where? Comes from your heart? Comes from your anger? Comes from your mind? Comes from your heart? Or really comes from a harmony combination of your mind and your heart? So, saying that, I will say that after so many years, in spite of the most difficult situation that they have the country right now, we have been able to see at least some services for 0 to 3. This was the most abandoned time on the life of a child. Now, if we connect that with the current situation of insecurity in the country, that insecurity calls for our voice to be stronger into children's rights. Why? Because it's not only to hear the voice of the children, we are hearing the last breath of the child, because many children are dying and many children are now taken by the mafias who sell the children, who kidnap children, who go into prostitution, who go into drugs, and who always been a big market of organs. That is the reality for a country like Peru right now. So we say that at the same time that we have had this great joy of having more services to 0 to 3, now we are fighting with the Congress, because the Congress, in their inability for too many things, but mainly I should say many years advocating for early childhood, they still don't understand what early childhood is. And therefore now, I don't know from where it came the idea, they have reduced the age in which children go to first grade. So there will be no children's life, no joy for this period of life if you are expecting before 6 years of age the child to go to school with all the demands of reading and writing, a formal education. Where is the joy that we advocate, the play and everything? Sorry, they don't understand. And I'm very strong now about bureaucracies, because I think bureaucracies all around the world, even I sounded very, very strong, but I continue saying the same thing. Pandemic was paid vacations for the bureaucracy, because really the children were totally abandoned. The families have no jobs. Everything, we were all in a very difficult, how can I say, mental and psychological situation. But even they closed down the popular kitchens. So who saved the anemic data that we see right now is worse than 50 years ago? The women. The women who decided, no matter if they are illiterate or whatever, they are very wonderful. That's what I say. Human greatness have a face of women. And instead of spending meetings and meetings and meetings while the salaries were paid by the public system, in half a morning, they were able to build those, places for having lunches for people. So that is one good thing to say, that this is the women. Another thing, the whole system of teachers, I felt it, are in a difficult situation because pandemic has affected us all, but the teachers more and the mothers more. Because I was surprised when I hear Afghanistan saying, for instance, that now the fathers were not mentioned. And I say that the women's situation is another catastrophe in Afghanistan, because I can imagine, I'm curious about that, if there is a possibility of questions. How, if education, we need to educate the women because it's so close to the children, to the family, to the economy, to everything. So when women's education is taken out for different reasons, for political reasons, for economic reasons, for difficulties in the amount of work that they have every day, are we still going to be using this, or we need to be more innovative? And therefore, for early childhood, I should say, at the same time that we are facing now, is coming the global child that is increasing the climate changes. We are going to have the Peruvian child is called this current, these rains, this terrible situation. It's coming very soon, but it's stronger this year. But every year we talk about the same thing. We give a lot of statistics that at the end mean nothing. That's what I feel now. This terrible situation around the world call us for action. Action for children, but real action, no papers, no discussion, action, concrete action. And for that action, I'm very strong now working, because I feel the big problem is bureaucracy tells developmental goals. A whole country is into developmental goals that will never be accomplished by 2030, because the situation in the world is worse and worse. What we need is what the new group is saying, and you hear me listening this a long time. Inner development goals, because we really need to work with the people, with the inner part of the person on values. There is no more solidarity, cooperation. There is even an education that puts the human being as the owner of everything, not a biocentric, that we are just in this nature, in this world, to protect the nature and protect life. And so, therefore, my strong plea is into that. Now we are all teachers getting together and I'm working with a very interesting group of people to work on how to cooperate, to help, on support the mental development, the health, psychological health of this wonderful human being called teacher, educating to have meaningful interaction with children. And we are bringing and making tribute to the knowledge that we receive on our ancestors' culture. We are very proud of our ancestors of having indigenous blood, because it is only the indigenous people around the world, and that my support to the lady from Australia, who have been developed in this part of the world, the well-being philosophy that is being taken now by Harvard, by MIT, by all these. Sometimes they do not put the name from where are originating these big thoughts that are right now at the moment, but they all come from the basic philosophy of indigenous people. I'll be very, very happy to share questions, because now I'm very glad to remember at the World Forum, who has been one of the most fabulous, now I'm writing my memoirs, one of the most fabulous events in my life to belong to the World Forum. In the World Forum, I've been part of the indigenous group. I learned so much, and we did so many things. I'm part of the play group, and now I'm part of the rights group. So, but everything is integrated, because we are looking at this child all over the world. So I feel
and founders of this special global organization and the forum for inviting me from amongst the hundreds and thousands of the WOFO friends as supporters to share my historical story on specific experiences of WOFO. I have been in the village since my retirement until 2 weeks ago, when you, Roger, fished me out of
But thank you all for
In the war now, and many children were kidnapped. Gaza, orphan children, even babies. And I will not, describe you all the details about how many children were killed and babies were killed. But I want to share with you my sorrow for us and for the Gaza people and for all the conflicts in the world. But I really want to know why we don't speak about it also, because like in Myanmar and like in other conflict areas, the evil is so big and the grief is so big, and I really want to share it.
Thank you, Anat. Yeah, I don't know if you were at the beginning of our conversation, but we talked about Israel, Palestine, many other places in the world where very difficult things are happening. And we know your pain is particularly strong right now, and our thoughts are with you.
So if everybody would unmute, we'll. Bye, Anat. Goodbye, Don.
Goodbye,
Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye, Snida.
Goodbye, Bonnie. Goodbye, Roger.
Bye,
everyone.
Goodbye, Martha.
Record.